Hey guys, how you doing? I hope you're well. Right, I've had quite a few requests for a tutorial on the wobble. People just wanting to know how to create the kind of typical dubstep bass sound in Nanostudio. So here is my efforts on the subject. I just want to make it totally clear, I don't think of myself as some dubstep genius. I've written about 3 tracks in total. I'm happy with them. You may have even heard one of them on the start of one of my previous videos, but yeah, I don't listen to it all the time, so this is just how I would tackle making the wobble. There are many other ways of doing it, I'm sure. But yeah, so basically the the 2 main players that you need for this equation are a low pass filter and an LFO. And once you've got your sound, I've just taken a Nanostudio preset and messed around with it a bit, and then you want a sound that's got enough kind of what's the word? I can't think of the word. Enough going on, enough sort of interest in it. So when the filter's fully open, so there's a big difference between closed and open on the filter. That will become clearer in a minute, I think, when I play the sound. Yeah, so then you want to assign an LFO to that filter, which will then automate how quickly the filter opens and closes and how much it opens and closes. Now, if you don't know what an LFO is, I'm not going to attempt to explain it all because I'll probably get it wrong. I kind of get the gist of it, but actually describing it would be probably I'm going to start, I'll tell you things wrongly and whatever. So basically you can assign different wave shapes to an LFO, and so in Nanostudio, say in the synth, in the Eden synth, there you go. This page here lets you assign. You've got 4 LFOs, and so for the purpose of this sound, I've got LFO 2 controlling the filter cutoff, and the wave shape that I've assigned to it, to the LFO, is saw up. And with the help of my trusty visual aid, hold on a second. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, this is the one I'm using for the sound. The most common one is a sine wave, and you've got triangle, you've got all sorts, there's loads. And if you're using something like Massive, for example, then you can even start designing your own wave shapes and stuff, and it all gets very complicated. But for the purpose of Nanostudio, you've got a good few to choose from, and what you're basically doing is, if you imagine a point somewhere on this line, say here, and you're going to staple that point to the filter. Say you put the filter half open at this point here, and then when you start the note playing, you press play or whatever, and this is the timeline, so you're going forward this way. When you press play, that staple is going to follow this line, so the filter will start opening, and then closing, closing and then opening and closing, and so you can adjust how much it opens, how much it closes, and how quickly, the rate. So yeah, that's basically the workings behind the wobble effect. And then when you use different types of different waveforms, then you get a slightly like a more aggressive opening, closing. This is very smooth, and then this one is like slowly open, close very quickly, and a saw down obviously is the other way around. So slowly close, open very quickly. So right, let's go back to this fella here. So I've assigned the filter to a saw up, so it's going to open a bit slower and then close very quickly. What you want to do is with these two pads, I hope you can read this. I've got the filter on this pad and then the Q up on the y-axis, and then on this one the LFO rate along the bottom, and then the amount of LFO being applied to the filter up on the y-axis. So if I play this, hopefully you can hear it. See, it's opening up slowly because the rate is set back, and you can hear it open and then close very quickly. Okay, so if you fiddle about with the rate, then it's going to start getting into more familiar territory if you're into your dubstep and stuff like this. Right, so if you want to sort of get a bit of variation, mess around with the filter, this is actually I've missed out a whole chunk, bear with me. Right, okay, so to assign all of what I've just said, so to assign these bits here and here, you go down to this page here, and just copy that on your first pad, destination to filter, and then you cut off along the bottom. Well, you can do it wherever you want, but this is how I've done it. And then the Q, so the resonance up on the y-axis, and your second pad, LFO rate along the bottom. So I'm just getting my finger in the way, and then the amount of LFO on the y-axis. The sound itself that I've used, I think it came from, I can't remember the name of it now, Dark something or other. It's on bank A right near the beginning. I think that's the original settings, I think. So if you want to pause and copy that, give you a sort of basis to work from. And as I said before, you want a low pass filter, so LP stands for low pass. You've got band pass and high pass here. And the thing to watch out for is sometimes you'll get a sound and then you'll start messing around with the rate and everything, and you'll be playing it and it's not making any difference. It's just the straight sound without any of the wobble in it. That will 9 times out of 10 be due to the page that I can't find. Here we go. Wherever this cutoff point here, you've got to set it in relation to this. So can I describe this? basically, alright, the easiest thing is just trial and error. If you just mess around with where this one is set compared to where this is set and get it so like the original, the sound, you're happy with the sound as it is before you start, like you can make this a lot. See the way I move it over to the right, and it's the LFO, because it's opening the filter, so that point that you staple on the, if I mentioned earlier, as you're going up and down the sine wave, that point where that is going along the line is starting on a much more open, the filter is more open, so as you're playing the note you're not hearing all the it's not cutting off as much of the sound. So you're still getting the saw effect there where it's cutting off quickly, but it's not half as much as. And nothing if you put it all the way up there. So it's just a matter of toying around with it, have a play, see what sounds best for you. Yeah, so I hope that all made sense. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bounce this track. It's not even a track, it's just that much of a loop with a bit of an intro and some typical wobble going on. And as I said before, I'm not claiming it to be anything special, it's just to demonstrate what you can do. I'm going to bounce this track down and stick it on the end of this video so you can hear it properly, rather than me playing it now and trying and recording through this rubbish mic that's on this camera. Because all the drums I've used are from within Nanostudio, bar there's one kick and one snare that I've just layered over that I've imported using NanoSync, and all the lead stuff is just presets from Nanostudio. And as a lot of tracks, as I said before, I don't listen to a lot of dubstep, but from what I've heard, a lot of tracks you'll have a mid-range bass doing all the movement and the wobble and stuff, and then a sub underneath, pretty much copying, well, it doesn't have to, but a lot of the time it copies what the mid-range bass is doing, but it won't have all the wobble stuff on it. So that's what I've done here. You've got Eden 1 doing all the mid-range, and then Eden 2 doing all the sub, and then Eden 3 has got a variation of Eden 1 where the LFO is a saw down instead of a saw up, so it gives a slightly different sound at the end of that amount of bars. Yeah, I'm sure there's so many different ways you can achieve these sounds, but as I said, this is just the way I do it. Thought I'd demonstrate it this way. Yeah, so keep watching for the video, and if you've got any questions or anything, or you're having difficulty doing it, or if I've done something wrong, then please send me a message, leave me a comment, etc, etc, and subscribe and all that stuff. And yeah, I hope it helps, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care, guys. Bye. Hey, right, two things I completely forgot to mention. I showed you how to assign the pads here, but what I didn't mention is within that same assigning page, to make sure the LFO2 is controlling the filter cutoff, like that. It's within this page as well, and you just want to tell the LFO2 to control the filter cutoff. There you go. You can fiddle around with the amount and everything, and yeah, it's just have a play with it. But the settings, if you use the preset that I couldn't remember the name of, I think it's I'll put the text up on the page on the video, but it's dirty something, not dark, it's dirty something. Yeah, so that's the first thing I forgot, and the other thing is what I tend to do is to get the sort of basic idea down is have your notes playing, record your notes in, and then mess around with like these pads. When you're happy with something, just record it, and then you've got the basic idea down, and then you can go in to your recording, and up in this corner, way, not that much of a corner, just below that, stop it, that one, you can then go in and edit all the information that you've created using the pads. So this one, pad 2 on the x-axis, going along the bottom, if you remember I assigned the LFO rate to that axis. So the higher these lines are here, the quicker the rate of LFO is going to be, so the faster the wobble basically. So you can go in, have a listen to it, adjust them as you want, and you can do that with all the different, the amount. You could go in and adjust the filter and everything as well. But yeah, so I hope this makes sense, and yeah, as I said before, message me, comment, whatever, if you've got any troubles or whatever, and subscribe if you want to, and enjoy the loop. I'll see you soon. Bye.